Welcome back, horror fans, to the Week in Horror podcast. This week we're covering August 30th through September 5th. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Eugene. With me always is JL and Alex.
How's it going, everybody?
What's happening?
And joining us tonight, we have a very special guest. And he's the director of Fleeting Light, Electric Nostalgia, and the brand new epic sci-fi horror film, Shifter. We have director Jacob Burns.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me.
Yes.
Welcome.
Fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jacob. Yes, thank you, Jacob, for joining us on Week in Horror. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Hell yes, and I have to, and we're probably gonna get into this a little bit later in the After Dark, but so I put 2 watches in on your new film Shifter.
Oh wow.
And oh yeah, because time travel films. You really got to jump in there, and I don't want to spoil too much for the audience out there that has not actually seen this film yet. Definitely check it out. It's on YouTube. You can rent it. I think $4.99 for the HD version, $3.99 for SD, if that matters. But definitely check it out on YouTube. I've given it 2 watches so far, and it's intense. And you definitely require 2 watches in order because there's a lot of little things you don't want to miss in there. But it's a badass film. But I have some questions about these things. I guarantee you.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
But yes, it's going to be awesome. So thank you so much for joining us. Man, so here we are recording, and there's like a freaking hurricane beating the shit out of us.
Here I am. Week in Horror.
Okay. Da-da-da-da. We do not own the rights to that music.
and of course, as in pure Texas style, we have 2 hurricanes roaring up into the Gulf. First time in recorded history that's ever happened. Laura and
The one that Laura ate?
It was Laura and like Marcus? I don't fucking know. But anyway, the 2 of them, if they merge, apparently they're going to square dance, according to the local weather. So, of course, Texas hurricanes would fucking square dance. But, yeah, for all of our listeners out there, that's what we are dealing with. We are kind of marking history there as 2 hurricanes bear down on the coast and push all that lovely storm weather up towards us. So hopefully we won't see any interruptions while we're doing this.
I'm looking out the window, dude. There's a nasty storm coming this way.
You know, it was crazy. I was driving home from work, and like I was looking one direction. And it was clear blue skies. Looked great. And then I look over to the other side, and it's solid fucking black. At like, it was like 5:30 in the afternoon. I was like, holy shit! So something scary is coming.
And that's where we are. It's like it's on like the southeast side of Dallas, and then the northwest side of Fort Worth, and it's just kind of like popping up here and there. It'll just like form these, and it's nuts. Just getting whipped.
The only good thing about it is that when during this time of year, all the humidity comes in off the Gulf, and it makes Dallas just shit to work in, especially if you're working manual labor like I do, and I know like Alex does. Alex, you're in construction. I'm in maintenance, and we're running around outside, and it sucks. But these storms like this will blow all that humidity out. But of course, it's gonna make everything wet. So
well, yeah, Friday we're supposed to be up in the 104s, 103s all weekend, and then it'll drop off. But
so wild. But
welcome to Texas.
Yes. Now, we got past that. Let's jump into some fucking horror films, because that is what we are here to talk about, as Alex consistently reminds me, so I don't go off on tangents. I know I gave you a good one, Alex, so what do we have up first?
We got serious different definitions of good.
You know I always give you the best one.
No. This one is the best of the best, if you will. In my humble and disgusted fucking opinion. And I hate you for making me going back and actually rewatching this to pay attention to it, because I don't think I even made it through the first time. And we're, of course, talking about the disgusting The Human Centipede, August 30th, 2009. And, okay, Tom Six directed and wrote this. This one stars Dieter Laser, Ashley Williams, Ashlyn Yenny, and a whole bunch of really unfortunate souls. Akiro God damn it, I thought I had it. Kitamura. But this movie, if you haven't seen it, don't watch it. It's a movie about a mad scientist who kidnaps these tourists and then does what Clerks distinctly told us not to do, was put them ass to mouth and sewed them together and made a fucking human centipede, and it's absolutely fucking disgusting. I really appreciate you, JL, so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And to every horror fan needs to watch this film at least once.
Is it like some kind of requirement, like a punishment? Like, congratulations, you like horror movie, now here's Human Centipede.
I remember when this shit came out, too. It was so fucking popular. Everybody was like, oh my god, you gotta watch it. I got like 30 minutes into it, and I was like, this is gonna get bad.
when you see the drawing where where he's doing the drawing, like, this is what I want to do, and they're like, ah, shit.
Just the look on these poor people's faces when they realize what's coming, especially like, okay, I'm gonna make one intestinal tract, and it's like, oh fuck, that's
Now, I know you watched this, Jacob.
I've
Or tried to.
yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I rewatched the trailer coming into this, and it kind of reminded me of back in 2009 when I first started hearing about this movie, and I think you guys kind of touched on it a little bit, but just the thought of like when you first hear the name of the movie, you kind of make some assumptions about like oh, maybe it's a human with a lot of arms or something like that, or multiple legs. And then the more you like read about it or you see the trailer or something, it just kind of that slow realization of like, wait a minute. Wait, how do you connect multiple people? Where do they connect? And just kind of this slow, I think everybody kind of goes, probably in 2009, probably went through this whole same experience of like, wait a minute. Where would they connect? That doesn't make sense. Oh no.
Exactly. Like I think my first exposure to the film was the poster. And it was that kind of like, it had that kind of like the frosted glass had the like person on the side of it. And it was like, oh, you see their face, their face there, and then the two hands, then the two hands underneath that, and you're just kind of like, wait a minute.
Even then, though, you can still look at it and be like, well, maybe they're connected to the torso. They remove the heads, and there's one spinal cord, because that would be the much cooler like scientific discovery. Like, cool, like, multiple spinal cords, but. I guess you just skip that process.
And then of course, then you think about it. What really got me as a film, and not just as a horror fan. As a horror fan, it's absolutely gruesome. And then the fact that they tagline this with 100% medically accurate. I don't buy that claim at all.
There is not enough nutrients in the stuff that comes out of you to keep the second person alive, let alone a third fucking person.
But then I'm sitting here like looking at it from a filmmaker's perspective, and I'm kind of like, number one, obviously the mentality that went into conjuring this fucking thing in your nightmares, or like why Tom Six came up with this thing, and two, how the fuck do you convince three actors who have just met each other for this film you're going to be spending the majority of the time ass to mouth strapped together for this? I want to know the cinematographer. Oh no, I want to know the choreographer on this motherfucker. Choreograph these three actors to move in sync like this. If the choreographer sit there like, no, a centipede wouldn't move like that. He needs to move in unison like this.
Yeah. What were the rehearsals like?
What were rehearsals like?
I think like as a director myself, like sometimes it's just awkward, saying, having two actors like kiss, like normal humans do. Like, I just can't imagine what that conversation was like with those actors once they read the script. Like, did he explain it to them before he gave the script to them, or did they have to like read the script and slowly figure out what was going on?
Oh my god!
Day of set. We're like, all right, so let me tell you what.
So like, I know I told you we were gonna tie you together. So this is how it's actually gonna go down. And there's one guy in the background holding up a checkbook, and he's like, so another zero on there.
So they actually Tom.
Oh, now we get the story behind it.
So Tom Six wanted to keep it a secret on how he's going to do the centipede as long as possible.
Wow.
Like as long to the point where the makeup artist didn't even know until like the day of shooting.
Oh, that guy probably.
Wow.
What the fuck did I do?
That's a risk.
Yeah, that is. So he went and he kept it a secret, and then what he ended up using was he ended up constructing like this hardened underwear, like piece,
Like paper mache?
like a paper mache underwear thing that had that they can put their legs in, and then it had a part on the ass end where the other actor could bite down.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I can understand the logistics of that to keep them stabilized to make it kind of like one thing. So I get it from a technical perspective. I can see it.
But he did consult a surgeon before the movie to see if he could actually medically do it. I don't know what the surgeon said. It just said he consulted a surgeon.
Was this like a surgeon that he found in Germany?
to have been a fly on the wall of that conversation.
Yeah, no joke.
Oh my god! And the worst fucking part. Oh shit! I got a shit.
No.
I will admit that in comparison to this one, because I've seen the trilogy. And in the second one, of course I did. I had to.
Did you?
Yes, I did. And the second one, obviously, for those who haven't seen it, the second one is far more gruesome than this one is. The second one goes to lengths that even pushed my limit of acceptability, and then the third one is just gratuitous beyond the level of gratuitous, because in the second one the first one you have a 3-person centipede, in the second one you had a 12-person centipede, and in the third one you had a 500-person centipede.
Jesus fucking.
And
Dang.
yeah, because in the third one it's an evil warden in a Texas prison, and he finds that the best way to punish his prisoners is to basically connect them all into a giant 500 person centipede, and that's pretty much what he does to them. It's fucked up. But there was something about this one, despite the graphic nature of obviously connecting someone's face to mouth to someone's ass and grafting like that. I don't know about y'all, but the way Tom Six shot this, it felt way more the production value of it and just what he brought into it as far as from a technical standpoint and how he shot the film was surprisingly really, really good. Like the angles that he used, how he captured Dieter, because Dieter Laser, anybody who's seen his work, before he passed away, he had a very unique physicality. His face, his angle, the angles of his jaw, the angles of his face, he was just very, very striking when you put him on film. And the way he captured Dieter, the way he captured the centipede after it was completed, after he's sewn everybody together. And of course the graphic violence that occurs in the end when I think the front piece dies and the front person dies and the end person dies and the person in the middle is still alive. It's really fucked up. But I was really impressed with the way Six shot this, the way Six made it, because it had the feel of something extremely professional and really well thought out. In contrast to this absurd and zany fucking plot that just so I had that kind of like cognitive dissonance walking into this and watching this fucking movie.
Yeah, because you're thinking with a concept like this, you're thinking of like a B level like horror film, something shot for I don't know, just a couple $1,000 or something like that. But it is well executed. It's technically sound. Like it comes across as a higher budget film than you would for that concept.
Definitely. And I think that's important because obviously it's always been my opinion that every I would say 10 to 15 years, horror has got to continue to expand. It's got to continue to push boundaries. That's the importance of horror, because horror, the genre for many people is a catharsis. It is breaching the boundaries of human darkness, and whether it's supernatural, whether it's natural, whether or psychological or emotional or absolute just straight gore. It is a catharsis for many, many people. It's why a lot of people love this thing, love the genres, because they can expel that kind of part of themselves while they're watching it, or they can sate it. And horror, but it gets stale. The slasher genre got stale until it was reinvented, until Scream came out and kind of reinvigorated it, added something new. Horror movies have got to be able to push boundaries at some point in order to expand the genre, open up new territories, because I can guarantee you without Human Centipede, we wouldn't have movies like Contracted, we wouldn't have Thanatomorphose, we wouldn't have movies that push the boundary, like movies like Grace, about the zombie baby that the woman is trying to raise, stuff like this. Movies that do this, or a movie like Bite, about the girl that mutated into the fish insect thing, and it was really fucking disgusting. These things wouldn't exist without Human Centipede, because it's breached that territory and expanded it. And for all of its disgustingness and the fact that, I've actually seen this movie more than once, there's something that brings me back to it, because the way it was approached was honest and came out of, I would say Tom Six loves this fucking genre so much. He wanted to do it justice, and he really, really did. And it pushed those boundaries. And so I kind of marked this film up as an important film in the kind of evolution of horror.
Well, yeah, because if you look at the time that it came out in 2009, this was kind of the height of like the torture porn genre. And so it came out at the appropriate time when people were pushing the boundary. Because a couple years before this, you had Saw and Hostel, and you'll have a couple more that came out a couple after this one. But this was the height of it, and there's a reason why 11 years later, all somebody has to do is say Human Centipede, and everybody knows what you're talking about. It definitely stands out in the genre.
It does, absolutely. And I think, I don't know if I myself, as a filmmaker, could go... Obviously, my fucking imagination does not run like Tom Six's. I know that the story for this film came out of... I think it was born... Tom was at home and he was watching... So he was watching something, he was watching something about child molesters, and how and it really, really pissed him off. Then later on, while he was hanging out with his friends, he made a joke that the punishment for a child molester should be to stitch their mouth to the ass of a fat truck driver, and then that kind of morphed into. Because he's German, and their knowledge of, their
just like how you threw that in there.
I'm not going into German Scheisse films, okay? But his knowledge of World War II, and of course, things like, like the atrocities of Joseph Mengele, kind of melded in. He was like, holy shit, you could do this. Oh, this could be a crazy fucking, movie. And it kind of, mutated from there. I don't want to say it evolved, but yeah, it turned into this. And if anything, it goes to show that any idea you have, as long as you plan it and you execute it correctly, or you execute it well, anything can be solid film. Now, I'm not saying that about the second one. I'm not saying about the third one. The second and the third one were absolute exploitative trash. They were just capitalizing on. In my mind, they were capitalizing on the name Human Centipede, because they were just extreme level nonsense. But this one was important.
If you say so.
I think so. I do.
I can agree with you, but like Eugene was saying, you got 2009, you got Saw, you got Hostel. I was like, okay, that pushes about as far as I'm comfortable with. And then you see this movie and you're like, I'm broken now.
I can't unsee that.
It's never going away.
So I am curious. I've seen all three of them. And I'm going to go on a limb that, given the atrocity, or given the kind of graphic nature of this one, the gross nature of the first one, I'm assuming you guys are not going to watch 2 and 3.
Well, now I'm kind of fucking interested.
I feel like this is peer pressure. I'm
interested to see how the 500 chain goes.
I feel bad for guy 499. That's who I feel bad for.
Well, it's crazy, and I will give this for Tom Six. The way it works is you have the first film, right, and then the second film opens up with the villain of that movie is watching the first film, and he's like, oh, and it inspires him to go like it's kind of like the first movie was a movie, and then the villain is watching the first movie, and it's like so it inspires him to make his own. and then he goes out and he does it, and it's not medical. I mean, whereas Dieter, the first film, it was all like very much surgical. It was an actual like skin grafts, stuff like this. It was very medical. The second one, he does that shit with duct tape and a fucking staple gun, and it's not right at all. And the third one is the warden is watching the second film and gets the idea to do it to his prisoners. So he has an interesting narrative.
So
he has an interesting narrative scope. Huh?
It's a disease that spreads.
It is a disease that spreads. But it's intriguing. It's extreme horror. There are many, there are many different, extreme horrors out there. I would say like the works of Takashi Miike, very, very extreme. And other, I think this is a realm that kind of is relegated to like J horror, K horror, definitely stuff that's overseas, because you don't see a lot of stuff, or even English, because like Dead Alive is extremely graphic.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You don't see this normal stuff like in America.
No,
which is probably why it... What?
Because as fucked up as we are in America, there are countries that are more fucked up than we are.
We have our limits.
We're more about the pew-pew, not the ew. But I want to know, because I know we've got people that listen to the show outside of the country and, all over the country for that. I would like to know, this is a question that I've got for the audience. Is there fans of films like this that are currently listening? Like, I'd like to discuss with some of the fans. Are you a fan of extreme horror like this? Because I have my limits, and Hostel 2, I think, was pushing the boundaries of mine. And it's not like I've got like a weak stomach, or like it gets to a point where it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, let us know. wickedhorror@gmail.com. Send us an email. Let us know if you're a fan of this genre, because it was it kind of fizzled out after, there wasn't too much after it, besides you were talking about like Contagion and Bite and stuff like that, but it didn't really spread as far as I thought it was going to, because of that 2007 to 2009 torture porn fiasco. So yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Is there people that want to see more of this kind of stuff? I was going to say, do you get off on that? But does this shit do it for you? Fuck, I don't know.
Oh, then I'm curious. So Alex, what is what's the most extreme horror you've watched? Is it this one?
I mean, this might top. I don't know, because we've talked about some that are pretty grotesque, but I think as far as like pushing the boundaries very far, yes, I think this was probably one of the most extreme that I've seen.
Nice.
Except you get to like Cannibal Holocaust and stuff like that, But that's a whole.
No, that's just people eating people.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Yeah, as
Jacob,
far
what's
as,
the
like,
most
body horror,
Jacob?
for sure.
Jacob, what's the most extreme you've seen?
The first one that comes to mind is the movie Zombie.
Oh shit! Yes.
There's a particular shot with an eyeball that's pretty gruesome. Yeah, no, it's been a while since I've seen one, but it definitely has haunted my dreams since then.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking about the
Eugene?
eyeball scene.
Probably the last one I watched was probably The Green Inferno, where
you talking about the Eli Roth
the Eli Roth one where they pull the guy on the slab and then they like scoop out his eyeball and cut his tongue out.
Oh, the big
I was like, what did he do to deserve that? Why?
And it turns out he was the lucky one.
Yeah.
I would say the one that got me the most, and I was surprised because Human Centipede didn't do this. The film that I had the most visceral reaction to, and we've talked about it before on the podcast, was Peter Jackson's Dead Alive.
Okay.
And that one got so... I can stand zombie gore and zombie grossness. Dead Alive pushed it to the absolute fucking extreme. And the scene when his mother is sitting there at the fucking table and she's just rotting away. And they're eating this fucking custard shit that's so fucking gross, and her goddamn ear falls off into the shit, and she just scoops it up and starts chewing. I almost threw up. I almost threw the fuck up. And I watched this and I'm like, oh, that's gross. Okay, they're eating shit. That's fucking disgusting. But then, but for some reason, Peter Jackson, he pushed me to my limit. I was like, oh my God, I'm actually getting kind of nauseous thinking about this scene.
I love that movie. I thought that movie was funny. See, it's totally different spectrum.
It had hilarious moments. Okay, it really, really did. The scene in the embalming room when the embalming device is going insane, or like the I kick ass for the Lord, that kind of that shit is fucking hilarious. But Peter Jackson pushed it to the extreme. Yeah, I'm not okay. Yeah, I'm done talking about that one.
Yep. Here comes dinner.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, speaking of different genres, slasher-wise, Eugene, what do you got for us next?
All right. So yeah, definitely different genre.
Hard laugh.
Yeah, a little bit more subdued. Released August 31st, 2007. We have the Rob Zombie Halloween. And it stars a whole plethora of awesome actors and actresses. We have Malcolm McDowell, Brad Dourif, we have Sherry Zombie, we have Danny Trejo, Bill Moseley, Danielle Harris, Dee Wallace, and Sid Haig. Like just a whole slew of horror icons on it. And I mean, it's Halloween. You get into a little bit of backstory of where Michael comes from because, Rob Zombie likes to do stuff like that. And then Michael Myers, he becomes Michael Myers, and Michael Myers goes and kills a bunch of people.
No way.
Yeah.
I feel like he's been doing
I guess that's it.
Yeah, I mean, just straight up in a nutshell. Rob Zombie dives a little bit more into where Michael comes from a little bit because you see him as a child and that whole family dynamic and all that other kind of stuff that the original doesn't go into. But yeah, then he becomes Michael Myers and breaks out of the institution, and then he does what Michael Myers does best. So, but it's definitely a film that a lot of people have talked about because people kind of have divided views on Rob Zombie's version.
Oh, absolutely, definitely. I was intrigued because from a director's standpoint, because we definitely had House of a Thousand, right? So House of a Thousand Corpses comes out, and you hear about the debacle that Universal, when they first saw the final cut of House of a Thousand, they were like, we can't fucking release this. It was atrocious because Zombie came up in 70s New York, and his style was very much similar to his film style was similar to his fucking music videos that he was doing with White Zombie. So it's a very, very grindhouse, very psychedelic, kind of inspired by Universal monsters and stuff of that nature. And that's where he went. House of Thousand, very, very weird, very, I would say almost nightmare, this kind of nightmare stream of consciousness, this style of gory horror. But he definitely matured going into Devil's Rejects, which is very, very grounded. It was very gritty, still a touch on the grindhouse, but you could see him mature as an actor because I think he actually had something to say. He actually was making a legit film. When they handed him the reins to Halloween, I know a lot of people were up in the air as to whether or not he could handle it because it's a beloved franchise. I think every single one of us, Eugene, Alex, Jacob, I think we all came up on this franchise.
Oh, yeah.
It's a seminal horror film. We all remember seeing, the first time, Laurie Strode is running from the unstoppable Michael Myers and fucking, Donald Pleasance up in there like a badass. It's it's just like Friday the 13th, like Nightmare on Elm Street. This was hardcore, and bringing someone of Zombie's, I would say, vision, of his unique vision. And I know that John Carpenter kind of said, yes, go for it, do it. Because I think Carpenter wanted to see something new. Because, 1 through 8, the first ones were just kind of like the same rote shit over and over again. And that engine started sputtering. So Zombie did inject something new into it. And I found it, that's why I really, really enjoyed this one. Especially Tyler Mane was really, that dude is fucking scary looking because he's fucking enormous. I think Tyler Mane was also Sabretooth in the first X-Men film. So that dude is big and made a very effective Michael Myers.
I think I would agree with you on the effect that on that aspect of it. See, with this one was hard because, like you said, we came up on this franchise, and then, you know, you had House of 1,000, you had everything coming up to this point, and then Zombie comes on, and it's like, all right, this is gonna go one way or another. And I think, I honestly, in my humble fucking opinion, kill me if you will, I think this one kind of let me down almost. I think I was expecting too much, and I think it was because, and please don't kill me, Jo. But
no.
But,
go for it. I want to hear everybody's opinions on this thing because this thing was divisive.
It was very, and like the first half of the movie was like real good, and then it got to a point where like I couldn't believe it, the characters weren't believable to me. When it came down to like Laurie, that was like the big one. It was like, you know, you go from Jamie Lee Curtis to Scout Compton, and she was more Valley Girl, and, you know, kind of like whatever. By the end of it, you know, when Michael Myers is chasing her, I think she ends up in the pool. And it's like kind of at that point, it's like, whatever, kill her. Like, you know, but then she, like, it just, I don't know. It was just, it kind of let me down towards the end. You had a very good movie, a very good opportunity. It started out real strong, and then it kind of just fizzled out for me when you got towards the end. I guess, like, watching it, being so iconic and so impressionable, and then I don't know. It kind of fell off at the end for me, on this one in particular. And I think, you know, in Zombie tried it, like you said, he came in and, you know, he had all this stuff. He had this momentum going. And I felt like maybe he could have played it a little bit harder. Which, like I said, at the beginning, I thought it was great. It was, you know, like the first hour was fantastic. And then it just, I don't know, fell off for me.
So, Jacob, what were your feelings about it?
You know, I have to admit, like, I was kind of one of those people that I didn't necessarily care who was directing the remake. I mostly was just kind of anti-remakes in general when it came out. You know, just because, like we've all said, like, I love the first one so much. I'm just a huge fan of John Carpenter in general. So I actually haven't seen this one. But I will admit, since then I've softened quite a bit on the idea of remakes. I actually think they're a really great opportunity to try something different, and like I really love the new Invisible Man, for instance.
Yes.
Yeah. And
so good.
Yeah, so like I think there are. I'm more open to. I'm much more open to it now. And I see remakes frequently. So it's one I actually am gonna have to go back and check out and see. I did watch the trailer again right before this, and I will say, like, there are some things that kind of turn me off, but I also know some of that's just the way trailers were made in 2007. Like some things like The Mask, I don't really particularly like how it looks in Zombies version. It kind of feels like it's trying to be scary. It kind of looked a little too like Halloween, like the holiday Halloween, like kids trick-or-treating, versus I kind of like the more featureless, kind of blander version of the original, just because that just seems much more chilling.
The more ghostly.
Yeah.
The more ghostly.
Yeah.
Like, because he was the shape.
Yeah.
And the formless identity. I dig that. I do. I really do.
Yeah. But yeah. So again, I haven't actually watched it, but I'm actually intrigued to check it out now.
It's good. It's not terrible. See, I feel like I bashed it like real hard. I don't know. I guess...
No. I mean, it's there were a lot of people that were divided on this. It was. I would say it was almost in the horror community. The division on it was very similar to like when people found out that Heath Ledger was going to play the Joker, and it was kind of like, what? People were like, no, there's no way. You know, the surfer boy Heath Ledger, pretty boy Heath Ledger could not be the Joker. And then holy shit, he blows our minds. And my mentality of it, I was kind of like, wait a minute. Rob Zombie, yeah, he did House of 1,000, Devil's Rejects, you know, El Super Beasto. I know his style because his movie making style is very much like his music videos. So shit like Dragula and stuff like that. I was kind of like, wait a minute, he's going to do Halloween? Okay, well, I could see his unique vision. And then not only did he surprise me, because I really, really liked it. I really enjoyed what he brought to it. I liked that he kind of grounded it in a stronger reality than I think John. Now, John Carpenter's original has parts that are just epic and will never be topped. But I like the way Zombie grounded it a bit. I liked the visceral feel of the film. It felt more real in a respect. I And I loved the fact that he was said, hey, we're gonna redo this, and every single fucking person who's like been in a horror film that I love is gonna be in this thing. So pull in like Dee Wallace, like Scream Queen Dee Wallace. Ken Foree was in this. William Forsythe. Oh my god! And then Brad Dourif, Malcolm McDowell. So many faces, and it felt like Danielle Harris, who was in 4 and 5, as we all remember. Everybody coming on, and it felt like everybody really, really loved it, really loved being there, and loved being a part of it, and everybody had fun. Although I agree, Scout Taylor Compton, I love her to death. I mean, she's a great lad. She's actually a better singer than she's an actress, in my opinion. But she really couldn't sell me Laurie Strode, and I agree with you on that, Alex. She was a little bit too Valley Girl, a little bit too... Jamie Lee Curtis brought a strength to that role.
She was such a badass.
Yeah, she was.
She was a badass.
And then you got this, like, oh, she's not gonna make it. Like, it didn't even feel like she was gonna live through the whole movie because it was like, oh, she's just gonna eat it.
Yeah, like she's not gonna make it. The one thing about this remake is, unlike a lot of other remakes that we've talked about, this one, at least, it felt like it has something to say. It felt like it had a purpose. Unlike, we were talking about the remake of Poltergeist, like the 2015 one, that was like, you watch it and you're just like, there's no reason for this film to be made at all whatsoever. It does nothing. This is, at least, you get a different vision of it. I enjoyed it, and there's some great parts. You can still see a little bit of some Rob Zombie stuff where he comes in, like I've talked about it before, where you see Danielle Harris run out of the house, and then all of a sudden Michael grabs her and pulls her back in, and it just holds the shot of the house long enough to go, she's dead. And then all of a sudden cuts and she punches and she's like, oh no, it's not over yet. Oh, okay. I see what you did there, Rob Zombie. I got you.
See, and that's like, we're talking about like House of a Thousand and stuff, and it's like I guess when going into this one, I expected it to be, because it could have gone one way. It could have gone pure Rob Zombie. He could have redone it in a way that, would have been all zombie, but then he tried so hard to stick to the Carpenter, way that, I don't know, it just wasn't his style. I guess now that I think about it, I can see the conflicting styles.
I'd say he respected. I'd say he respected Carpenter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's not his style. So it was just like, you could see him fighting that throughout the whole movie, and then I think it just got to a point where he tried too hard. I don't know. It wasn't terrible.
And it's hard because you look at a House 1000 Corpses. I think Devil's Rejects to me is Rob Zombie's best film. It's like a good idea on paper, where it's like, oh, okay, you got Rob Zombie who does great horror movies, and you got this epic like franchise put them together. But I think it's kind of a conflict of it, because Rob Zombie is not able to do certain things in his style as respect to the franchise. And at the time, I also felt like with a lot of remakes, as remakes are hard. Taking on someone else's work as a director is hard, especially when you have something established. Yeah, something established, something where you have like 8 films already. People know all these characters. People know Michael Myers, and then you're taking it again. It's hard. That's a big task.
You definitely don't want it coming out, because very much like we were talking about you mentioned the Poltergeist kind of reboot, remake, or whatever that is, and it was completely soulless. Same with the Pet Sematary remake, I thought was completely soulless. But the one thing I appreciate I didn't get from Zombie's take on Halloween was did not feel like a nostalgia cash grab. And I really like that.
Yeah.
Because I cannot stand it when say again, Jacob?
That's good.
Yeah. I did not get the sensation that this was a soulless thing. And I got a touch of Zombie, I got a touch of Carpenter, I got a little bit more. I thought it was kind of cool that it wasn't necessary, but I thought it was kind of cool that we got a little bit more into Michael's backstory to kind of like give kind of a driving force to his pathos. That the kid was already broken, he was a psychopath, but his kind of family life and the environment around him just kind of amplified that and made it worse. And I dug it. It's Zombie's view of the killer. And it may be that Zombie just doesn't like the motiveless killer, because in Carpenter's, he was just a fucking killing machine. That's it. no real driving force. He just woke up one day, he killed his sister, went into psych ward, broke out, and now he's just continuing on. So maybe Zombie has a problem with that. Maybe it's not realistic to him. Like motiveless killers don't just wander the countryside. So I dig what he went. He paid respect to Carpenter, and he kind of put his own spin on it. So I think that's the best you could do, but it was not soulless. You could tell he loves the franchise. He was dedicated to it. Everyone who was involved was dedicated to it. Carpenter said he actually enjoyed it himself. And I think, and you can see that Zombie had a lasting effect on the franchise itself, because this new one that came out, Halloween, and Halloween Ends, and Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, you can see, and I know we've all seen this, because obviously this thing came out, it's supposed to be a sequel to the first one. Pretty much all the films in the middle were just whatever, they threw them all out. So it's a sequel to 40 years later, it's a sequel to the very first film. You could still feel a kind of zombie effect on that film.
And definitely. And this is actually what I want to ask the audience. Are you a fan as Rob Zombie as a director? Do you like his work? Do you want to see more work from him? Or are you just like, oh no, it's too weird, I don't like it? But definitely let us know. Shoot us a comment on the podcast, shoot us an email at weekendhorror@gmail.com, and let us know, are you a fan of the director Rob Zombie?
I'm a fan, but if he keeps making shit like 3 from Hell, I'm not going to be for long.
Damn!
Oh, man. I'm sorry. I respect Rob Zombie. I like what he does. I love the fact that he wants to put Sherry Moon and her beautiful ass in everything that he does. I really like Lords of Salem. I liked 31. Fucking 3 from Hell was literally, I shit you not, note for note, Devil's Rejects. Note for note.
Hey, I know we're trying to get his attention and get him on here and stuff, but you got to take it easy.
That would be cool. That would be cool if Zombie was a guest on the show. But I'm sorry. I paid big money to be a part of those groups that saw that film, because it was a very, very limited release. It was like a 3-day release. And I was on day 2 because I wanted to get the commemorative poster that went along for being a part of that screening. And I went and saw that. I was like, "Fuck yes, we're finally getting the follow up." It's it's one of Sid Haig's last films because he passed away right before it released. I think Sid had like 2 more films after 3 from Hell, and then he passed away, unfortunately. But I was like, "This is gonna be great," and I was like, "Holy shit!" 3/4 way film, I was like, "Oh my god, this is Devil's Rejects." He literally took the Devil's Rejects script, changed the names of the characters, and just kind of change the settings. But note for note, even beat for beat, it was Devil's Rejects all over again. Like literally nothing new, nothing. It was all the same, and I was shocked. It just kind of blew my mind. And it's the only film of his that I do not like. I will support Halloween 2 before I support 3.
Damn.
Tell us how you really fucking feel.
Damn. All right. We'll get Rob Zombie on soon so that way he can talk about it.
Shit. Now
He's going to be like, I remember what you said about 3 from Hell.
So I listened to a few of your episodes before I came on, and anything you also want to talk about?
No, Mr. Zombie. Didn't you say something about my wife's ass?
So, well, all right, JL, what do we got next?
Oh, man. Okay, now this is actually... What?
I'm just picturing Rob Zombie like doing the podcast like on your front porch or something like that. Just like I heard what you had to say.
So I hear you have So I hear you got an opinion, man. Do you like want to tell me about it or something? It was like, oh fuck me running. Okay, yeah. Nonetheless, I loved him on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Oh yeah,
but yes, this is a personal favorite of mine. It released September 1st, 1995. Arguably one of his absolute best films. This is The Prophecy. Oh, I fucking love this movie. Directed by Gregory Wyden and written by Gregory Wyden. Starring, love him, Christopher Walken, Elias Koteas, Virginia Madsen, Eric Stoltz, Amanda Plummer, and Viggo Mortensen in a surprising role as fucking Lucifer himself. Great fucking movie. I love this movie. I can't express how much I do. But yes, in a nutshell, for those who have not seen it, this did come out in 1995. The Prophecy follows the Archangel Gabriel as he wages a war or attempts to start a war against humanity. by pretty much taking them out of the picture. Gabriel has turned against man, he's turned against God. His objective is to eliminate humanity by any means necessary, and eventually devolves into a war between him and this intrepid detective who was faithful but has lost his faith and now is trying to save the human race. I absolutely adore this from the day I saw it. The whole trilogy, the whole Prophecy trilogy is fantastic, but this one is special because I think it was the first time when I first saw this. I think it was the first time I'd ever seen Christopher Walken kind of go in this direction. And I absolutely, oh my God, I could gush about this thing all day long, but I'll let someone else take it. Someone else who's seen it.
Listen.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You're right. I mean, this is Christopher Walken at his best as he plays Gabriel, and he has like this haunting presence to him. That's just like, I remember watching this trailer when it came out, and I think I was maybe like 10 or something at the time, and I was actually too scared to see it in theaters. And so I didn't get a chance to see it till like years later kind of thing. And it is, I mean, Christopher Walken is haunting in it. Viggo Mortensen as Lucifer. And just the fact you got like this idea of a war going on in heaven, and some of the graphics in it and some of the special effects. I mean, they're just awesome when you have Christopher Walken turns and then he just snaps his finger and lights his body on the floor. Like that's just bad. He just lights it on fire and just walks out. Like, I mean, that.
Well, the movie was a fantastic use of practical effects.
Oh yes, it really was.
So, this was before the overindulgence in CGI, and they're depicting supernatural forces, but absolutely no CGI whatsoever. So, whether it's the violence of the bodies like this, I love practical effects. I'm always going to fall back on them. Stan Winston, Rob Bottin, all their work. So I love that. But yes, you are correct. I honestly think this is one of Walken's absolute best performances. It's kind of neck and neck with the Dead Zone.
Mm-hmm.
And his performance in Pulp Fiction for that very small scene,
that very brief scene.
Yeah, but there was something he brought to it that impressed me because he's the villain. He is absolutely the villain in this film. But there was a weird sympathy that you get from him because of his mission and what he sees in his personal viewpoints, and it's so beautifully explained. And Christopher Walken delivers every line in there so perfectly, within almost kind of like he still has a reverence for humanity, but he sees the failure in it, and he just feels like he's trying to set things right. It's so wild, and everyone around him is fantastic in the film.
Fuck.
I think Alex, Jacob. I don't know if you think Walken had a better one or what.
Okay, so coming from watching this movie, being a 1995 film, it's older, but Walken's younger, so like you don't know him as like a lot of people that listen to this would know him in his later work. So this is like you get to see him as this younger guy in this, but like. My favorite thing about Walken in this movie, because I know you keep gushing over it, but there's like a very technical point to the way that he acts in this movie. And Eugene, you brought up one of the points that I want to make was when they're in the morgue and he goes shh and puts his finger to his lips and points at the body, and the way that he plays this character, he's so into this character, he's so attached to this character that it's like he's like a badass. He doesn't give a shit about these people, and you can tell he doesn't care about the people, but he cares about this, like you said, the war in heaven. He wants this stalemated war to be done, and he wants to fucking end all human race. But just like his lack of empathy towards humans is so inhuman that he plays this as like a perfect non-human character. It's insane how he can separate himself from the human race like that. Which just goes to reiterate the fact that I think he's an alien anyways. And so I can agree that this was definitely one of his best. I don't know if I could name one off the top of my head besides Joe Dirt that would be a better performance from Walken. maybe in Mousetrap when he was the exterminator.
There you go.
Oh my God.
Hey, I was about to throw in Pool Hall Junkies.
I think I have to admit I haven't seen this movie either, but another Walken performance that I do love is him as the dad in Catch Me If You Can.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
he's really great in that.
Oh yeah, because it's the fact that like he plays a dad and he wants to believe his son.
Yeah.
And the fact that the son Leonardo DiCaprio needs like that father figure, he's doing everything to try to impress his father. He plays that well, and that's the thing about Christopher Walken. Like in this movie, he's able to separate himself from the human race in a way that's convincing. And though obviously what he's trying to do is wrong, you can understand why. And I think that's one of the things with filmmakers when you're trying to come up with villains. A lot of the best villains ever in film, yeah, we get what they're trying to do is wrong. What the Joker is trying to do and Colonel Hans and all these other great villains, what they're trying to do is wrong. But we can kind of understand. We can get to that. We can get to that point where it's like, okay, maybe in a certain, if raised in another time under different circumstances, I can see how somebody can be that way.
Hey, I wanted to throw this out there. Have any of you seen Seven Psychopaths?
I've been wanting to see that.
I just started it and I haven't finished it. And I wanted to know if it was worth going back to.
Just thinking about it, it's like,
I've seen the trailer. I wasn't terribly compelled to see it. I know it has a lot of fantastic actors in it. Because I kind of dwell in horror land, so it didn't quite make it to my list just yet. But I probably will watch it eventually.
I think because what caught me was Walken's performance in the trailer. That's what I was like, oh, I'll watch it.
But I really dug. I think a turning point for me that really got me on this one is I had never seen a film that depicted angels as legit straight up bad guys. And that kind of surprised me because before it was like angels serve a particular and kind of in cinema before this. Maybe there might be a film out there that I've missed that I have not caught. Maybe there was a smaller one, but even smaller indie films, I've caught a few of them. This one surprised me because at the time I was 15 years old when this came out, and I had kind of I had my viewpoint. I was a regular churchgoer and had this kind of idea in my head, and this movie kind of turned it on its head, and I had not seen that depiction of the good guys. Holy shit, they're like legit, they're fucking bad guys, they really are, and because of the nature of what they are. And so it's not often I come across a horror film that completely upends my worldview in that respect. And I think that also plays into why this is so good.
Yeah, because it's a angle that's unique, because you look at, like, say, It's a Wonderful Life, and he's like, oh, the nice, helpful angel, and you ring a bell, angel gets his wings, and all that other kind of stuff. And you end up getting some funny ones, like, say, Dogma or something like that, where, Alan Rickman showing up in, like, her bedroom kind of thing. But
if there is a god, Alan Rickman is a fucking
yes, yes, better be. And then he shows God as Alanis Morissette.
Thank you. At least somebody in this fucking earth agrees with me.
But we forget that according to Christianity that Lucifer was an angel, and it kind of like plays well. If Lucifer can fall from heaven and he was an angel, what if other angels could do that too? And it kind of leans into it that angels may not necessarily be the good guys, and it's horrifying because what the fuck do you do against an angel?
Yeah,
like yeah, literally, dude. There was the two scenes that they give every time, and even though Christopher Walken just runs the gamut on this whole film, Viggo Mortensen got me on two particular scenes. When the first time when he's there, and not when he first shows up and he's like, yo, I'm Lucifer, man, I'm fucking scary and shit. And it wasn't that one. It was a scene when Thomas, the Elias Koteas' character, is sitting there kind of like having a moment,
just by himself. Like, he's out there, he's just like, dealing with this whole, like, holy shit, angels are fucking real, and, his whole faith dynamic. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like, Lucifer, like, Viggo Mortensen pops up and just grabs his ass from behind, and it just, like, starts whispering in his ear and shit. And I was like, holy fuck. And it was just, and it was like, when he says, sweet Tommy Daggett, how I love listening to your sweet prayers, and then you jump in your bed so afraid I was under there. And I was. I was like, oh my god! And the way Viggo fucking delivered that was just like, holy shit. It was like, oh my god, the devil is under my bed. That, and when he rips Gabriel's fucking heart out, and he eats it. And then he says, and then he's like, and then he's telling like, Tommy, and he says, I want you to come home with me. He's like, and he says, I'll love you more than Jesus. And I was like, holy fuck. The fact that nobody got struck by lightning on this fucking set blows my mind. But regardless, the intensity of this performance, this is why I think another thing that makes it great is this. It was a horror film with a lot of horrific things, but it was so character driven and relied so heavily on the acting, on these extraordinarily talented individuals, bringing these characters to life. And what more could I possibly say? Christopher Walken being a complete and total badass. So I'm curious. I've gushed on about Christopher Walken so much because I fucking love him to death and everything he does. Even in fucking Balls of Fury, he was amazing. Am I the only one that saw that film?
What? No, I definitely.
No, you're talking about the ping pong one. Yeah,
sure. I said Balls of Fury, and everyone was silent.
the sport of ping pong.
The ancient Chinese, the ancient Chinese. Oh yeah, the ancient Chinese sport of ping pong, or like they call in China, ping pong. But even in that, I loved him to death. But I'm curious for the audience out there, for all you guys listening, what is your favorite Christopher Walken film? So many out there. Obviously, the Dead. We've mentioned the Dead Zone. We talked about Prophecy. We've talked about Pool Hall Junkies. We mentioned, even some of the later stuff, the Seven Psychopaths. I can't think of a bad performance given him. I really loved him in King of New York.
Okay, King of New York was good.
Yes.
In that same kind of. No, I guess no. That was like way earlier. I was thinking the Dogs of War, and then I was thinking way back to the Deer Hunter.
I was going to say Deer Hunter.
Yeah, I think that was my first Christopher Walken movie, now that I think about it.
Damn, that's one way to break into his filmography.
To start at the top, huh?
Yeah. I think that was the first one on VHS.
Nice. But yes, definitely, anybody listening out there, let us know, what is your favorite Christopher Walken film? Hit us up at weekinhorror@gmail.com or leave a comment in the comments below. Or I fucked that up. I totally did. Or
leave a comment at weekinhorror@gmail.com or send us an email below.
All right, yeah. Okay,
fuck, he was in Click too.
He was.
I forgot about that.
Wow.
I'm the Angel of Death. It's like, you didn't know? Arguably one of Sandler's best. That because Click kind of resonated with me in a way that
clicked with you.
Both
I see what you did there.
Which one? Wait, which one? What?
Oh, I said it clicked with you.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
Get it?
JL, welcome to the conversation.
Yes, very cute. All right. Alex, bring us home. What do we have?
All right. We are going to end this one with some fucking awesome down under shit.
Is that an Australian accent?
No.
Hint, hint.
It was supposed to be, but it didn't come out.
It almost sounded
We're talking
German.
about...
Hang on a sec. Jacob, you're casting an Australian horror film. Do you cast Alex?
Depends if it was a spoof movie.
We'll see.
He's like, we'll call you.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
We'll cast him as the American who's trying to blend in with all the Australians.
Immediately. Anyways,
Alex, every film needs extras.
There you go.
if that's all I can be, at least I'm something, you know? We're talking about the film Undead. This one came out September 4th, 2003. Directed by Michael Spierig and Peter Spierig. They're brothers. The Spierig brothers, obviously. Both written and directed. Starred Felicity Mason, Mungo McKay, Rob Jenkins, Lisa Cunningham, Dirk Hunter, Emma Randall. This movie was great. Thank you, Jail, for
You're welcome. I gave you Human Centipede, so I had to give you this.
I actually could only watch clips of it. I couldn't actually find the full movie of it. I've seen it before, but I couldn't find anywhere to like even rent it anymore. I found a spot on Amazon where you could buy the DVD for $25 or the VHS for $100.
Wait, what?
Yeah, no. So I went looking for it because, like I said, I'd seen it before, but you can't really find it. So if anybody knows where to find it, so I can grab a copy of it, let us know at weekenhorror@gmail.com. But anyways, this movie is about a small village in Australia that gets hit by meteorites that turn people into zombies. And then you just get a trio. I guess there was four of them, right? There was 4 of the survivors, correct?
Yeah.
At the beginning, plus then the 2 cops or whatever. But so these 4 survivors have to survive the zombie apocalypse. And this is and there's aliens too. But so this is it's just this pure wants to be a B horror film, but actually, to me, I thought this one was really good. And I guess thinking back, I saw it a long time ago, but it's still something that I think about all the time because of fucking Mungo McKay. Just this crazy, I want to say Bushman. With that shotgun, with the 3 shotguns fused together. And this movie's great. So they go around and they're trying to survive the zombie apocalypse, and there's actually a more sinister thing going on in the background, which I thought was really cool that they kind of brought these 2 things together. I'm just thinking about that scene with the aliens where he's like, put your clothes back on. He's like, I'm comfortable with who I am. God, I can't remember the name of the town either. What was it, like Berkeley?
Berkeley.
Yeah,
Berkeley.
Yeah. But yeah, so then you get I forget her name in the movie too. The one.
Are you talking about Renee?
Renee, yeah, that's what it is.
Renee.
Renee's trying to leave, and then it doesn't work out because meteors turn them into zombies, which was a cool concept.
Yeah, it's actually something different that you get, because usually it's something where it's it's a virus or it's man-made and he built something, but I haven't really seen like aliens try to raise the dead, I think, since Plan 9 from Outer Space, which I don't know if that's a good influence for a film or not, but
I mean, why mess with perfection?
It's like a dark comedy almost, I guess you could put it as that. It was just awesome. Just like some of the fucking lines in this, especially like Marion. That was his name. Oh yeah, no, yeah, Marion was
he was the dude who was abducted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when he's talking to that one girl, he's like, "Are you a fighter, fish queen, or are you zombie food?" It was just like, what the fuck is this? Or like the shooting scene where he's like, he's double wielding pistols and he's shooting all the zombies and stuff. He throws them up in the air, turns around, grabs the cop's shotgun, blasts the one zombie, catches the 2 guns, shoots like way too many fucking bullets for a normal handgun to have. It was just fantastic.
There's definitely an image of the Australian bushman that you can tell. You tell there's the people of Australia obviously have a lot of respect for the Bushmen. There's a kind of like image of them that I think is as extreme as this feels. Like, don't mess with those guys that kind of wander out there or live out there in the middle of nowhere, because they can be kind of fucking scary.
If you get a chance, go fucking watch Mungo McKay's demo reel. It's fantastic.
That I have not seen. I have to see this.
It's good.
I will admit that this does have like one of my favorite zombie kills, where they're sitting there and they're fighting. They're like fighting in the store, and then he takes it and he takes a can, shoves it in a zombie's mouth, and then has a pin, and then throws the pin at this can, and it blows up the zombie's head for some reason.
Amazing.
The film is absolutely berserk, and it's one thing I dig about Aussie zombie films. Movies like this, movies like Wormwood, Road of the Dead.
God, fucking Wormwood, man.
Another excellent. I think that these two are kind of like, I would say spiritual cousins in that respect. Just finding an interesting way, a new way to kind of take on the zombie horror film, because here in the States, we all came up with the kind of either Russo or Romero kind of family of zombies, where Russo had his with the Return of the Living Dead, and then of course Romero's Dead universe with Night of the Living Dead, and then Dawn, and then Day, and so on and so forth. So I love going to this. It's very similar, I would say. Australia puts another spin on it, just like Train to Busan put kind of a new idea of zombies. That's why I always like foreign zombie films, because they always try to do something new, and it's not the usual that we're used to of what we grew up.
Yeah, because
No, it's so campy.
I love how campy this movie is. It's the attempt to be a big budget film, I guess, but not making it that far. But it's still entertaining to watch. But the one thing that Australian has is it has the Outback. The Outback itself is like its own character. Like, we don't have that in the United States. Or somebody can be stranded in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, okay, they're in the middle of nowhere. But in Australia, there are so many things that can kill and eat you. So many different things. And then he throws alien zombies on top of that. Holy shit.
It's wild, because anybody out there who knows, I do YouTube content as well, and I'm a member of a group called the Four Beardsmen of the Apocalypse, and we talk about kind of social issues and various stuff every Sunday. And two of the members of our group are from Australia. One gentleman lives, I believe, in Canberra. The other one lives in Perth. And their notion of what's dangerous, they have this ideology about, because to us, Australia's fucking scary. Okay, you have pictures like dingoes eating sharks that they pulled out of the ocean, or like, spiders eating giant birds and stuff, or the various snakes that are out there, all kinds of just insanity and craziness. So everything in Australia wants to kill you, but they live out there. They're just like, oh yeah, they're there. They don't say that they're not scary. They just say that they kind of accept them and deal with them. And I love the idea, because here in America, yeah, I'm in the States, and I'm kind of, you could be lost in the desert, you could be lost in the woods or somewhere, and it can be scary, but the landscape, the landscape of America is not really, it doesn't provide that kind of, I'd say, characterization like the Outback does. There's something unique about I would say, another one, the Suicide Forest at the base of Mount Fuji.
Yes.
Okay, that is kind of its own character. Just the environment itself provides its own kind of character in that regard, and so does the Australian Outback. And I love that notion, because you can't just run out there and run away from the zombies, because you run out there in the middle of the bush, and you're going to get killed by something out there. And so everything is scary around you. And I like that note. I like what Australia utilizes. They utilize their natural environment to great effect, and I always dig seeing that.
It's cool too, because like you get that Australian Outback, and then right next door you got like New Zealand, so you can fuck around with anything you want. It's like, okay, cool, we need to do this one scene, but we need to completely change it up. We just go 4 hours in one direction. It's a different landscape, and that's
yeah. But cool. In New Zealand, then you get black sheep.
Yeah.
Which were the zombie mutant sheep.
Right. You got nowhere to go.
Damn.
God, if the zombies will get you, fucking ants will or something.
I don't know. I'm sorry, I bring it up. Who else has seen Black Sheep? It really is a funny ass, gory zombie style comedy, but it's about mutated sheep people. And basically they're like carnivorous sheep, and they spread this virus that mutates the people into sheep people. that are like also zombie-like and carnivorous. They start eating people. It's so fucking weird. Oh, but it's funny as fuck and extremely, extremely gory and gross, but highly recommend it. But yeah, if you go north to New Zealand, you've got fucking... See, in Tasmania, that's even scarier, because that's no man's land. But up there in New Zealand, you have black sheep. But I love the notion that Australia itself is a character as well, and it plays very well. And it's a very smart usage of the kind of like what everybody thinks of Australia to kind of, emphasize your horror. I would say not emphasize, but to kind of ramp up your horror film. It gives a little bit more, I guess, credence and credibility, much like Wolf Creek.
Yeah, it's you get a different environment into it, and it's nice to see how other cultures deal with some of the same stuff like zombies. Because you're right. You look at Train to Busan, excellent horror film. But you can see some of the cultural differences and what their influences are going to be different than our influences are.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing. And one thing I'd like, the differences between Aussie horror and American horror. And here in the States, it's typically person-on-person violence, or you've got some horror films that kind of harken back to the fears we had, our more puritanical fears when we first came over here, started colonizing the country, and it's very, very. Maybe I'm speaking it because I'm kind of biased because I'm American and you live here in the States, and we have this kind of ideology of what America is, and this kind of image in our heads. Yeah. And we got this kind of image of what it is. Typically, it's person-on-person violence, or it's your classic supernatural stuff. It's ghosts, it's witches, it's vampires, it's this. But I love that you don't get a lot of natural horror in the States. You just because in Australia, I've noticed with movies like The Pack or I think it was Boar, or the continent itself, the landscape, the bush, the kind of mysticism of that kind of lends a credibility, or lends a kind of horror credibility to it, which I think is unique only to Australia and kind of sets it apart. And while unfortunately they don't do a lot, the Babadook came out. That was also an Australian film, but still kind of rooted in that kind of Australian mysticism. Maybe it's because I just dig something outside of America because I'm so used to that.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think of it because you're so right about that. Like, we don't have all the natural shit. And then you're talking about the Babadook, yeah, but then you go into like pretty much anything else is fucking the shit that can kill you. So it's like, yeah, but that's what they deal with on a day-to-day basis over there. So you're gonna pull that from, but like you're talking about like Wormwood and stuff, and you get into like The Shallow and The Reef and Rogue and Bait and just all these like, yep, these are the normal animals that we deal with on a day-to-day. Let's make them scary, and they fucking do a great job at it for sure.
Well, yeah, because they're already scary. And then you just up the ante.
Yeah, it's like you got the fucking spiders or fucking ants over there that'll kill you before,
Oh, I forgot about the ants. Yes.
It's like, yeah, you go to sleep one day and you wake up with, 3,000 ants on you and you're fucking dead. Yeah, Australia's
kind of makes you think. Makes you think of the converse of it, because obviously they're going to utilize what they're afraid of, what normally they find scary, make that into scary movies, and then we're all like, as American audiences, we're just going to eat it the fuck up. It's like, oh my god, this is oh my god, yeah, the snakes, the fucking gators, the sharks, the spiders, it's insane. And then of course, I love how a lot of Australian horror is also black comedy. You don't get a lot of like legit straight horror out of Australia, but you got to wonder, our horror films, which are typically person-on-person violence, usually like everybody has guns, or it's very you get that kind of sense of it. People like really fucking each other up, and how Australians absorb that kind of horror, because it's so because
mm-hmm.
because our culture is so different from theirs.
Well, I think this kind of reminds me of there's an American movie that came out last year, I think, Crawl, with the alligators. Which I thought was great, but it's interesting because it is kind of what you're talking about. It's kind of more of a natural, people in Florida deal with alligators all the time. But it's interesting because that movie didn't do well financially in the States. which I don't know. Maybe it just kind of is just kind of getting into what you guys are talking about. Kind of, it's not just the types of movies that's coming out of those places, but kind of what the audiences react to. And so maybe the American audience didn't quite latch on to Crawl and kind of this horror from nature type thing the way that Australians do, just because of
that's right. Because Crawl didn't do as well as say like Primeval or Rogue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which did obviously they weren't like blockbusters, but they did far better than that. So if it had not been if it had been like a saltwater crocodile, or maybe several saltwater crocodiles, and it was in Australia, it was like during monsoon season, and there was a flooding. It was a big because my friend he goes by Irish Demon. Where he lives in Perth, they get monsoon season and they see real serious flooding out there. Change the location. So it's not in Florida, it's in Australia. Everybody, then everybody has the accent. Then you have saltwater crocodiles, which everybody knows are a legit fucking danger. Then all of a sudden the house is flooding and there's salties all over the place. And do you think that would have played a little bit better?
That could have. Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. We had Jaws, we had, the thing, but I don't know. I guess it comes down to like you're talking about. Australians deal with that shit. They're afraid of that shit. That's what they're going to be afraid of. We're afraid of getting fucking shot out in the street or stabbed in our sleep because America's fucking twisted. And you get like, J-horror, K-horror, where they're talking about like their religions and their beliefs, and that's where they kind of dig into that. So yeah, I don't know. We should start mixing it up. Let's make a movie that mixes all of the genres together, like the soul of a crocodile is haunting a serial killer because of his crimes against God.
That would be an interesting web series. If your core group of protagonists were in a horror film, but they kept moving, like for some reason they had to keep moving and encountered the different kind of horror genres.
Hold on.
Depending upon the country that they were in.
On something here. Keep it.
Yeah. Keep it low key at this point.
Actually, I think we're talking about Cabin in the Woods right now.
Damn you, Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon's like, that is a good idea.
Well, I think what I was imagining. Actually, this is what's funny. This was funny, Jacob. I've recently been inspired. I've been thinking about a kind of like a comedic horror series or like this, where it's a group of podcasters. Okay, just like we are, like the guys behind Weekend Horror, and like the very first one, if it was like a web series or something like this, where the very first one is that the crew behind the podcast ends up getting stalked by like a horror super fan who has taken it obviously to extremes, and this would of course be a comedy horror comedy, but he wants to kill them in various horror-inspired ways for all of the things they fuck up on the podcast.
You got this wrong. Let me show you how to do it right.
Exactly. It's like, and then it would be this kind of comedic deal, like because it's like the ultimate uber nerd versus nerds who don't really get it right. And so I think for some reason that plays really well in my head. And then it changes, like like season 2 would be the same group of guys, but fucking around in like another genre, and wind up incurring the wrath of something else. Because of the events of the first one, they have to like relocate to another country to get away, and they start doing it again, but then they fuck up again, and then wind up having to incur the wrath of something else. Like if they go to Japan and some spirit that they anger, that eventually ends up attacking with something of that nature. And I just keep seeing this as a group of idiot podcasters jumping from horror genre to horror genre every season, encountering shit from the nerd's perspective.
Except Eugene would be safe on the eastern side of things because he got all their names.
Yeah, I can do all the Korean stuff.
I feel like I just threw out $1 million idea, and someone's gonna.
Yep, it's already been made. The script is already written by the end of this episode.
It's already written. Always the fucking way.
Anyways, that's something we've talked a lot about, these different genres, but I personally love the Australian horror genre and the nature horror stuff. Especially like The Shallows was one that I saw recently, which I didn't actually know was even like an Australian horror movie. That was a good one. And Wolf Creek was fantastic. I'd like to
Wolf
know.
Creek remains one of my favorites.
Oh, dude, hands down. And I mean, 2 was even good. But yeah, so that's something I like to ask the audience. What's your favorite Australian horror movie? Because there's plenty of them, and I think you'd be surprised. It's not just the nature stuff. I think you'd be surprised at how many films you've actually seen that are Australian. You get into a lot of them. Like this one, hey, Blast from the Past, Body Melt. Anybody know? If you haven't seen it, it's kind of a terrible movie, but it's a good watch.
That's right up my alley.
Yeah, definitely. Wolf Creek definitely is probably my favorite all time Australian, because obviously it was the terror of being lost in an unsafe land. But fucking John Jarrett, holy shit!
Yeah, dude.
And to think
That's a knife.
To think that he was he was like the lead on a kid show once.
Right.
And then when he does, like, he's on like Australian soap operas, and he's kind of like a heartthrob amongst that audience. It's like, ooh, John Jarrett, he's so dreamy and shit. Then he turns around and pulls out fucking Mick Taylor. It was like, holy shit.
He's had a lot of pent up anger being on a kid's show.
Yes. Oh, the zeal he brought to that role, that made it scary. And there's nothing supernatural about it, man. Just a fucking crazy, psycho xenophobe killing tourists because, hey, why the fuck not? Wild shit. But definitely let us know, audience, what is your favorite Australian horror film? Hit us up, weekinhorror@gmail.com.
Gmail? Hey, Eugene, we got some birthdays.
Oh yeah, we got 2 birthdays today, and the first one, he was born August 30th, 1949. We have Brian Usna, who was the director of Bride of Reanimator and Beyond Reanimator. And despite doing other horror movies, he also wrote the movie, was it Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Yes.
Yeah, so you got Reanimator, this like super gory, like graphic movie series, and then it's like I Shrunk the Kids, and also he wrote I Blew Up the Kids too, and then he wrote Silent Night, Deadly Night 5.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Oh my god, I made him big, and now
we killed him.
I've loved Brian Usna's work because he worked very closely with Stuart Gordon, and we lost Stuart Gordon earlier this year, which is a shame. Stuart Gordon, one of my favorite Lovecraftian influenced directors, and Brian Usna is no doubt the same. He carried on the Reanimator series after Gordon passed away, but he also, he was behind so many, From Beyond, Dagon, Necronomicon. He loved that Lovecraftian genre. He's one of the few directors who regularly took on the Lovecraft work and the kind of Cthulhu mythos. So, and because everyone who knows me knows H.P. Lovecraft is very, very close to me. I wrote my very first novella was Lovecraftian inspired. And everything he's brought to it, he's a big fan of practical effects. But I think you brought it up the best, Eugene. As a director, he's all over the place. Kind of a master of genres, because not only was he Bride of Reanimator, he did Society. He directed Society. And anybody who's seen Society, holy shit. I guess I'm assuming you guys haven't seen it.
I have not seen it.
But the groups that meld themselves together and it's really fucking wonky. But Bride of Reanimator, Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation, Return of the Living Dead 3, Necronomicon. But then he turns around, Tarzan, The Epic Adventures. Stuff. So then he wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and I love that he's all over the place and he touches on both. It just goes to show his extreme talent.
And it shows the fact that he's willing to branch out into just many different things, which shows he just likes telling stories that he just enjoys. That he's not constricted, because we have so many filmmakers that are constricted to one genre, and this is all it is, and it's fine. And they like the genre and stuff, and that is perfectly fine. But occasionally you will get directors that they just enjoy a story here, a story there. No, regardless, whatever genre it is, whatever target audience they're going for, they just enjoy that particular story, and that's awesome.
Well, I really did dig. I would say, obviously, his Lovecraft works it kind of inspired me. His work on Society, his cinematography on Society, and his work on, pardon me, his work on the Return of the Living Dead 3. I took a great amount of inspiration. He's one of my, one of the directors that really inspired me in my growth as a filmmaker, is trying to, do horror the right way, or, kind of like what I view as in the right way, and pay real homage to the genre, what the genre means to so many people. I know he hasn't done anything recent. Unfortunately, I think his last thing he did, I think he directed 60 Seconds of Solitude in Year Zero in 2011. So I haven't seen a formal announcement of his retirement. But then again, he's getting up there. So he may have just kind of, slowed down a little bit and kind of enjoying his life and spending time with his family and his kids. But hopefully maybe one day we'll get more from him. I really do. He's so fucking talented as a writer, a producer, and a director. The dude can do anything, and you never know. We managed to get Rick Moranis out of retirement or something, so maybe we'll get another Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That would be fun.
Oh, that would be pretty awesome, though.
So definitely,
how you do that in 2020.
So definitely a big happy birthday to one of my favorite and one of my personal inspirations, director Brian Yuzna. Happy birthday, Brian!
Happy birthday, Brian!
Happy birthday!
And we have one more, and I'm going to send this out because he's one of my favorite character actors. I absolutely love this dude. Happy birthday to Costas Mandylor, who was born September 3rd, 1965. I don't know if you guys remember him from the Saw franchise, which I think was his biggest franchise he was a part of.
Yeah,
that's where I know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I love what he brings to it. Obviously that kind of voice as a character actor. Every character actor has got that kind of unique thing they bring to their roles, and Costas' voice is distinct. He's a big dude. He actually is a pretty big dude, pretty intimidating guy. But he's got that. I guess it's the eyes in the voice, because to me it's kind of unique. It's almost Clancy Brown, but not Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Yes, kind of, maybe. But it's good. I appreciate anyone who is able to pull up so much work. He's jumping around and he's able to do so many things. He's been doing a lot of TV stuff, such as like Lethal Weapon Show, The Last Ship at NCIS Los Angeles, Hawaii 5-0. But it's awesome. And that's why we love Cousins.
I like the fact that he's been going strong since I think his first film was in 1989. Triumph of the Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Was when was his first major film. But then I'm automatically went from there to The Doors with Val Kilmer.
I forgot about that movie too. Yeah.
Okay. And then he's just been going strong ever since. I think as of right now, he's still going hardcore, but he's got. Oh God, he's got a ridiculous amount of films, either in post-production and in pre-production, and something, and who knows? I mean, I think, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 films that he currently has in post-production. He's either currently filming or is in pre-production as we speak. The dude is unstoppable, and that is the mark of an excellent character actor who does not quit. But also a big face on television, because he's worked in television for almost as long. I think he started in '92 on fucking Picket Fences.
Picket Fences,
dude.
Holy shit! He was 4 years of Picket Fences, and then Tales from the Crypt, because everybody of any talent did Tales from the Crypt from back in the day. And of course, he was on the Outer Limits and
Seventh Heaven. Duh.
No shit.
Damn.
Oh. Sex in the City, guys.
That's it right there. But that just goes to show whether it's comedy or it's drama or it's legit horror. Like like the stuff he did in Saw, or many of his other horror films, which is credible. The range of this gentleman, I think, is underappreciated as an actor. He obviously gets work, he does, but I don't think he gets I would say, the views. I hate to use the term "the views" because it's such I guess it's such a modern term, but I don't think he gets the exposure that he deserves. I mean, he should be a little bit more celebrated. I've loved him in virtually everything I've seen him. I love him as a character. He adds so much to everything he does, and I've enjoyed him
so much. I can't wait to see all of the films that he has coming out.
Yeah, it sounds like he's got a lot more stuff that he's gonna, because he's pushing more right now than he has, spread out over the last however many years.
And see, all it takes is one of those movies to pop off, or one of those that creates an iconic character. Because there are so many great actors. This is why we like to do character actors on the show. There are so many great actors out there that just haven't had that super, super iconic role. Because sometimes that's just luck. I mean, sometimes it's luck. Yeah. But they're still really good, and they should be celebrated. And that's why we talk about we talk about Costas here, is because he's clearly a phenomenal actor. The fact that he's working so much, 12 films in post-production, he has 3 films filming right now, and then 8 or 9 films in pre-production, and just announced another film. Clearly he's good, and he's getting a lot of work. And it's just great to recognize.
Oh my God, something new I just learned. Holy shit. I'm actually a fan of the CGI Beowulf film, the mocap Beowulf film.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was Honshu in that. Holy shit, the dude who gets his head, who Grendel eats his head.
Yeah,
that dude. I did not know that. Holy shit.
Huh. Oh, see, we learn something new every day.
See, he's out there.
Very cool. But yes, definitely a big, huge happy birthday to Costas Mandalore. We've loved your career, and we wish you all the best for the future. And cannot wait to see what you have coming next.
Happy birthday, Costas.
Happy birthday. All right, Jacob, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Is there anything coming up that you'd like to plug for our audience?
Sure, yeah. The number one thing is please check out Shifter. It's on a variety of VOD platforms, including Amazon, iTunes, he mentioned YouTube earlier, all kinds of stuff. I also have another feature film called Electric Nostalgia. It's on Amazon Prime. You can check out if you like kind of a sci-fi thriller. And then, if you want to find me, I'm on Twitter, at BoomDiggaDown is my handle on Twitter and Instagram. And then I'd also like to just shout out, my brother has a horror t-shirt company, and if you guys are interested, and I'm sure your fans are interested in graphic tees that have cool connections to horror films and stuff like that, it's called Dead Cat Tees, and he's got lots of awesome horror-related. It's horror and sci-fi and fantasy. It's kind of a loose, but he tries to hit up movies that don't necessarily get a lot of merch like that. So definitely check out all that stuff.
Definitely. Yeah. Absolutely. We fucking love horror shirts here.
Sweet.
Yeah, we actually have a special deal that we do. Everybody knows, or I think everybody listens. We plug it so often on weekinhorror.net, our website. We actually give away a mystery shirt every month, like a mystery horror shirt every month for anybody on our mailing list. So anybody who jumps on that mailing list, at the top of every month, they are guaranteed an entry for a horror, like a random mystery shirt that we have. $6shirts.com was kind enough to give us a load of mystery of like horror themed shirts that we can give out to people, and that stock is going to be running low here very soon. But that sounds cool as shit. And what's that website again?
It's deadcattees.com.
Sweet.
Yeah, check it out.
Definitely take a look at that.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much to all of our listeners for joining us for another episode of Week in Horror. We love you guys. We could not do this without you. Be sure to check us out at weekinhorror.net. And like I said, jump on that mailing list and get entered every single month. A permanent entry for a chance to win a mystery horror shirt. We do that drawing at the top of every month. As always, we love your feedback, your comments, your questions, your hate mail. Alex is very lonely. He loves to hear from you guys. Hit us up at weekinhorror@gmail.com or drop a comment in the comments below and we will respond to it. We love hearing what you guys think. And if you really, really, really love what we do, if you absolutely love what we do here and you want to support the show, you can support us at patreon.com/weekinhorror. Those individuals who support us, we have tiers as low as $1, but those people who support us can get early access to our bloodbath debates where we put horror icons against each other in a battle to the death, or you can get early access to our After Dark sessions with our special guests, which we will be doing here with Jacob here shortly. And of course, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/weekinhorror, Twitter @weekinhorror, and get our daily splatter. Daily Splatter, every single day, a little bit of horror knowledge coming right to you in your feed. Always something cool coming up every single day. And we have a YouTube channel as well. I'm sure you know it, but if you haven't, hit that subscribe button. Check out our stuff on there. We're trying to get monetized. It'd be really fucking cool if we could. But check out our YouTube channel, Week in Horror, and our merchandise store. We have stuff on Teespring. We have shirts. We have mugs. We have apparently a sticker. I thought it was a magnet. It's not a magnet. It's a sticker. I will be putting a magnet on there soon. This is a running gag. But we have cool stuff on Teespring, so definitely check that out. We got some cool stuff there. As always, I am your host, JL.
I'm Eugene.
And sometimes I'm Alex.
And we'll see you next week. And as always, stay scared.